Hello Pokemon fans, this is ProPokeNoob back today to bring you another battle. In fact, not even a battle, I bring you a series, ladies and gentlemen. A series that I've wanted to do for the past couple of months, haven't had the time, finally found the time. Thank God for university being on strike. It allows me to do a lot of things including homework, and of course satisfy the needs of the people online. Put in a better way with Pokemon. Let's make sure we add the with Pokemon part. Anyways, so I have an RU team here, and this RU team is a little outdated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these battles are from the first RU suspect testing that happened in 2015 back in January. So, the reason why I wanted to bring you this is because I spoke out about how I was going to try and get the coil. I got up to 2,000 coil out of 2,400. After a while, I just got tired. I couldn't do it anymore. It was just getting to a stalemate, and it was going to take me hundreds of battles just to get that coil to show that I have experience, even though I felt after about a good 45-50 games in this tier, I had an idea of what I wanted to vote for with the three Pokemon that were being tested at the time, which were Mega Pidgeot, Serperior, and Dragalge. Now, just to give you a quick background, the way that I was going to vote was Mega Pidgeot did not deserve a ban. Serperior, I had no idea because I never fought one in RU. And Dragalge deserved a ban. Dragalge was just doing way too much damage, but I think you can already read the notes if you wanted to go look it up yourself. So, what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you a quick preview of the team that I used and that you're going to be viewing in the next few uploads of this series. I think it's going to be 5 parts. I have 10 battles that I took out of the 45 or 50 that were really, really, really good. And I didn't want to deprive you from some of the best playing I feel like I've ever done in my career, really. Just because, I did a lot of damage calculations, I learned the meta game, I tried to make a team that would just, satisfy what I wanted to do, and it worked out very well, so, I was kind of proud of these games, and I wanted to show you, even though they're a little old, you'll still see Moltres and Pangoro, and those are both banned to UU as well, but I don't think that will matter much. Just take it at face value back in January when we were doing the RU suspecting. I was going to use this to argue my point before you voted, but of course, I'm a little late. Anyway, so my team, if you can see it here, it's a fairly bulky team. It turned out to be a very bulky, offensive, banana stall team. So, physically defensive Hitmontop. This thing does wonders in the tier, particularly just soaking up the hits of Pangoro, which was on a lot of teams before it was being tested. And the Intimidate gave a lot of support for my other Pokemon to switch in. Drapion, actually this was really good against Gligar, that's what it mainly was for. Drapion, I gave it enough speed, I forget why. This is enough speed to outspeed base 100 without any speed investment, but there was a particular reason why it was 242. I can't remember at this point, but it's mostly physically defensive. Otherwise, just because I wanted 2 Pokemon, one that was not weak to ground, and, one that had knockoff, basically. And, of course, phasing, because there was the threat of Serperiors at the time, and I had no reason to be afraid. But also, the Cresselias, as you can see, my team doesn't have a lot to kill a Cresselia with, and Calmine Cresselia would have destroyed me, as well as Slurpuff if I could catch a Slurpuff trying to go for a Belly Drum on me. That would have been nice. But Taunt is there to also stop the Trick Room teams that were running around as well, because at the time, a couple of months ago, people were saying Trick Room was Freelo, and it really wasn't, because, Drapion is one of those Pokemon that just craps on it, so it's a very supporty set here. Slowking, can you guys see this, by the way? Perfect. Slowking is the Assault Vest. This is one of my checks to Mega Pidgeot as well as Serperior. I said checks, even though this thing does not resist the usual attacks from Mega Pidgeot, which is Hurricane and Heat Wave. It resists Heat Wave, but Hurricane does a fair amount of damage. It takes about 3 or 4 KO from Hurricanes. But it was also because people were saying that HP Grass Mega Pidgeot were a thing, and I maybe ran into one. I don't even remember. I may have ran into one HP Grass Pidgeot, but most of the time I ran into the U-turn variant, and I'll show you that in a second here. But this was nice coverage. It has quite a bit of attack. I ran Max Attacks Modest Nature. Max Special Attack Modest Nature, just to get as much as possible. This outspeeds Doublade. There's a particular reason why I'm at 118. This outspeeds Doublade, and a lot of Doublades were just getting free kills on my Slowking, so I wanted to be able to outspeed and go for Fire Blast, which pretty much killed it off if you knocked it off, of course, or if you did a little bit of chip damage to it previously. Registeel is my other check to Mega Pidgeot, as well as Dragalge, as well as Serperior. It's mixed defenses because, again, I wanted to keep it consistent with keeping a fairly bulky team. And as you'll see with my Cresselia, it's not a physically defensive or especially defensive Pokemon. It's actually a little offensive in its spread. So I just wanted to make it mixed defenses. This was enough to take about 40% from a Heat Wave from Mega Pidgeot, as well as not get too... It's too KO'd by Moltres anyways, but it wasn't a big deal. This was just to make sure that I could tank up hits from, you know, any Pokemon and give a little bit of T-Wave support to my team. Cresselia is a Calm Mind, but it's a different type of Calm Mind. Most Calm Mind variants actually run a lot of defense investment, no speed, or, yeah, next to no speed, and not a lot of special attack. Mine is a little bit different. It's a lot of HP, max special attack, modest nature, and the reason for this was because I wanted to be able to one-shot Pangoros and one-shot the other fighting types, because my team is kind of weak to fighting types with knockoff, and Pangoro just happened to be one of those Pokemon that gets access to both of those and has stab with it. So it's a little threatening, but this actually, as you'll see in a couple of battles at least, one being today, that Cresselias actually do catch a lot of Pokemon off guard. My Cresselia anyways. So Psyshock and Moonblast, I rarely went for Calm Minds. It was more or less just to give a very good hit off with nice Psychic Fairy coverage. So, and again, 216 speed was to outspeed, I believe it was, 216 speed was to outspeed, was it neutral Drapions? No, it wasn't. Obviously not. I'm trying to remember why I had 216 speed. It was for a particular reason. It was outspeed something that was 215 that I was coming in on. I think it might have been Pangoros. Actually, you know what? It might have been Pangoros that were running a little bit of speed, because I don't think they ran max speed either. So, that was a thing. Anyways, and then of course Mega Pidgeot, it was running it, because I was running it at the time and I never really thought it was busted, and I kind of wanted to bring it to show. Just to bring it to the ladder to have something really quick. And of course there's Jolteon to think about, but I wasn't worried about Jolteon because I had a ton of Pokemon to tank up its hits. So this was my kind of my only real offensive threat that didn't need to set up type of thing. So I'm running the U-turn variant because I always thought U-turn was the proper thing. I didn't see value in HP Grass, to be perfectly honest. This was also when, you know, Quagsire was used, but I mean, you know, Quagsire dropped and I never found a Quagsire either. So that's the team. It served me well. It got me up to 2,000 coil again. We did a good 50 battles with this. I did some of it on streaming as well. So it actually did quite well for me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to try and switch this up. Let's get this right. Am I getting this right? Oh my god, please. Please. Please, please. Oh my god, please. Why? Why? I have you. Bam. 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 There we go. Oh my god, I figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. And just to make sure, do we have both bad? Oh, we have both. Oh, it's a miracle. Holy crap. Okay, so... oh, I'm so tech-savvy. Anyways, there will be 2 battles today, as you saw me quickly flip through. First one's going to be against a person by the name of Quite Quiet. Now, looking at my opponent's team, Gligar was actually kind of a threat that I had to think about. Now, knowing a little bit of damage calculations did help in this battle. Like I said, I have enough speed and enough power to kill off Pangoros with Cresselia's Moonblast, and I expect to catch him off guard. So there's a couple assumptions that have to go into this. I need to keep Slowking healthy for Pidgeot. I need to make sure, I need to check to see what type of Gligar it is, because it can either be immunity without Defog, or it could be an offensive one, or it could be one with immunity, which means it can't run Defog, and it's most likely just running Earthquake Roost, Stealth Rock, and either U-turn or... what else would it run? I can't remember. But another big thing was actually Slurpuff. Slurpuff is a giant threat to this tier, and I still think, to this day, that Slurpuff is a giant, unhealthy threat to this tier, similar to Azumarill, except Azumarill doesn't need to be banned from OU. Slurpuff, on the other hand, you know, it's a giant pain in the ass. It really is. It was, as you'll see, I had to deal with it. So, again, apologies if I forget some of these plays. It was a very long time. I did rewatch the videos, but of course, people make mistakes. Anyways, I'm going to go for the knockoff on the Pangoro, lead off with the Drapion. I figured it was the best thing to do. If he led off with the Bronzong, it was going to hurt. He does go for the Drain Punch. The damage is not too much. I am going to go into Cresselia, thinking he'd keep going for the Drain Punch, but it turns out he's pretty good. Goes for the knockoff. But like I said, people don't expect Cresselias to be able to kill Pangoros. Wham, bam, see you later, Pangoro, not a threat. Now, it was the Life Orb variant, I believe, so I didn't have... Was it Life Orb variant? No, it wasn't. What the heck was it? Oh, maybe it's a Selfless. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to let him to die in a Mega Pidgeot. No big deal. I am going to go to Slowking to threaten it out with an Ice Beam. Now, I believe he's going to go into Electros, and I just go straight for the Scald. And I do get the burn on this, which is nice, because Electros is very bulky naturally. Now, you are going to notice that this Electros is going to get him a lot of switching advantage. Not because I can't take the hit. I don't want to take the hit. I want to stay as healthy as possible for that Mega Pidgeot and the Slurpuff. So I am going to go into Registeel as he ends up going into his Gligar. I am just going to switch out, go into my Pidgeot, because I see this as a good opportunity. If he goes for Rocks or Earthquake, I'll be able to get a free Mega off, and it'll be doing quite a bit of damage. But I am going to go for U-turn, seeing as this man is probably not afraid. I am going to switch out, go into my Drapion to just try and get a knockoff going. Because he's most likely not going to go for the Earthquake, predicting me to do that. He probably expects me to go for a Hurricane, which I think they can take 2 or 3 of, depending on their investment. But either way, he does go for the Earthquake. I am physically defensive, which again, it catches a lot of people off guard as well. Now I am going to go into the Hitmontop because I want to see if this man is real and is going to stay in, predicting a Toxic, but I can also just go for a Rapid Spin. Unfortunately, because I want to go for the Rapid Spin, he sees this as a perfect opportunity to go into Slurpuff. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we got a problem. Because I've let this thing in for free. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the next series of turns were lucky for me, okay? So, first of all, I am going to hit the Toxic on this thing as it goes for the Belly Drum. Why am I lucky about this? Because if I didn't, I have nothing to outspeed. I have nothing to take a hit from this. It would have been GG. So, I do get him with the Toxic. Now, I'm going to make a series of plays here. I am going to go into Drapion to let it die. He is going to go for the Drain Punch, which is a smart play because he is going to get his HP back. It will let him live a little bit longer for him to make some attacks. So, what I'm going to try and do is bait him to use the wrong move so I can send in Pokemon to resist the hits. I am going to go to Registeel. I do have Protect on my Registeel. He is going to go for the Drain Punch. Now, because I know he's going to go for the Drain Punch, my next best play is to go into Slowking. When you have something like Slurpuff out, you can't really make predictions, especially since it's in Toxic. It has Toxic on it, so he is going to go for the Drain Punch. Plus 6 doesn't even bring me to half. Beautiful Slowking, I absolutely love you. So, now what I figure is, okay, I'll go into Hitmontop, let it die. If it doesn't die, whatever. He ends up going for the Play Rough, but misses. And this, I'm going to say didn't matter because I wanted Hitmontop to die, and I was just going to go back into Registeel anyways to go for the Protect. So either way, Hitmontop should be dead. So I do lose 2 Pokemon in exchange for this thing, but that's okay because I still come out on top because that thing's out of the way and I can't deal with it. I am going to go into Slowking, figuring he's probably either going to go into the Electros or the Mega Pidgeot. I'm going to go for the Ice Beam as I tank up a beautiful Hurricane. And now I am going to switch to get the Regenerator to be healthy enough to take on the rest of his team. I am going to go into my Registeel. I'm on the other side. Duh. I know I can take a Heat Wave, and I am going to end up just going straight for the Seismic Toss, even though he gets a crit, which kind of sucks, but not really. Now, here he does get a couple of good plays off on me, but I do have a plan. The plan is very simply, get Slowking in so that I can kill him, because I didn't get I did knock off the Gligar, right? But it still doesn't die. I don't think it dies straight from 100%. I might be wrong. I think it actually does in some situation, depending on what Gligar it is and its investment. So he does play me a little bit here. I go for the Protect as he ends up going for Stealth Rock. I should have seen that coming and just went straight for the Seismic Toss to put this thing in range for Mega Pidgeot to actually kill it flat out with a Hurricane. Because all this does is just lets me get my Rocks up, but Rocks are really not extremely important. Actually, I just go for Seismic Toss. Now it's on this turn where he goes for the Roost and I go for Rocks. I don't know why I go for Rocks. Looking back on this, I didn't need the Rock damage on the Electros as far as I'm concerned. Because my best win condition now is either to get Slowking in to kill all the Pokemon, or to get Mega Pidgeot in and kill all the Pokemon. And even with the Rocks up, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it'll get in range with Burn plus Heat Wave from Mega Pidgeot to actually kill the Electros. But it doesn't seem to be that way because, as you'll see, first of all, Earthquake kills me. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I apologize, guys. Like I just said, I'm going to make mistakes narrating the battle, but I'm remembering 3 turns ahead. So here, what's going to end up happening is I predict the Bronzong to come in because he needs this thing to stay as healthy as possible, and I am going to go for the Heat Wave. Luckily for me, I do get a crit, which is nice. Brings it down. Either way, it would have been a 2-hit KO. If he had stayed in, it would have still did a little bit of damage. He can't touch me anyways from the looks of it. So I am going to be able to kill off the Bronzong for free, and I'm thinking at this point, okay, keep this thing in, just go for a Hurricane, or a Heat Wave in this case, because Electros comes out. Turns out this thing is freaking Assault Vest. Oh my god, it takes no damage. But, knowing that Mega Pidgeot will die, I will be able to send in the Slowking and go for Scalds to finish off the game. So, he is going to switch out into his Gligar. Now, I calced a Volt Switch from Electros. Electros will do 34 to 40% with the Volt Switch, and usually they don't run T-Volt, they only run that. But of course he has to get the crit, and the crit actually mattered, because like I said, 34 to 40%. If he did not get the crit, I would have been well over 40% HP, and he would not have been able to win this. So, very, very close. If the burn would count and give us a tie, I would be really appreciative of that. But of course, it's not going to happen that way. So that was an excellent match, quite quiet. We're going to move on to the second one just because this battle is getting long, and I can already tell that people are probably leaving going, why the hell am I watching a battle from 2 months ago? I don't know why you're doing it, but I'm glad that you're here. Anyways, this is against the person by the name of Ojoni. Now, this guy's team is something interesting. Now, Moltres actually does threaten me a little bit. The Hurricane plus Heat Wave actually does destroy my core a little bit. It will threaten Registeel. It will threaten the Hitmontop. It won't let... It means that Slowking will have to stay healthy. But the thing that I'm actually looking at is opposing Slowkings for me are hard to take out, because if you remember my Slowking set, I don't have Grass Knot. Most offensive Assault Vest Slowkings, from my knowledge, ran Grass Knot. I didn't run it because I wanted different coverage. So, or did I? What the heck am I talking about? Did I? Oh, I did run Grass Knot, or did I switch it up to Grass Knot then? I think at one point I switched it up. I don't think I had it in the beginning, because I had problem with Slowkings, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me just, make a difference here and put Grass Knot on. I forget what else I was running. What did I run before? What the heck could I have been running? I don't know. Either way, I was stupid, so I made the change. But the important thing to note here is he does have an Abomasnow, and Abomasnow, can Ice Shard my Mega Pidgeot. And to my knowledge, after Rocks, I believe Ice Shard kills if it's fully physically invested. Most of them are mixed, so I'm expecting mixed. Anyways, he's going to lead off with his Rhyperior. I believe I just lead off with my Slowking. Now here, this was a very unfavorable trade that he makes. I go straight for the Scald and kill him as he goes for his Rocks. Not worth it in my opinion, because that Rhyperior would have been really nice to tank up hits from Drapion and Mega Pidgeot. But either way, he is going to get his Mega up, which is not a big deal. He does go for the Giga Drain. Cresselia is my best bet here just to tank hits, because it does have enough HP investment where I should be able to check to see what type it is. He does end up going just for the Giga Drain. I forget that Moonlight is not as effective in the Hail, so I was going to try and stall at the Hail, but not going to work very well. He is going to go for the Blizzard. Now I can go into Registeel, because I wanted to actually check to see if it had Earthquake. I wanted to see if it could bait him into staying in and using it, and then go back into Cresselia. But he is going to make a switch into Doublade. Now, I think we're going to make like 7 switches or something here in a row. He is going to go into his Moltres as I go for the T-Wave. Now, I'm assuming he expected Rocks. That's the only thing I can think of, and try and get in before Rocks. But that does tell me one of two things. Either he's Scarfed or he's Life Orb. Because if he's fearing Rocks damage, otherwise he'd be running Roost, right? So I see Life Orb, and this is something to keep in mind. So he is going to go switch out into his own Slowking. I'm just going to go for the Scald, hoping for a burn on something or just to get damage off in general. I do see the leftover, so that is good to know that he's most likely especially defensive. Now I am going to go into my Drapion. I don't care if he gets a burn. I don't care what he does. It paralyzes me or whatever. I just want to get a knockoff off, as he actually switches into his Mega Abomasnow. So that's a good play. Now this is a good time for me to check to see if he has Earthquake. I am going to switch to my Cresselia as Death Fodder anyways. And he makes a switch again. I'm like, well, son of a bitch. And he goes into his Doublade. Now, this is not good because Doublades have Swords Dance, and at this point, I did not have the speed investment in my Slowking. I can't remember how far in, but I'm going to assume that this is one of those battles where I didn't have the speed investment. So this could have been threatening, but he goes straight for Shadow Claw. And I've seen people run Shadow Sneak and Shadow Claw. I've seen Shadow Sneak and Sacred Sword. There's a lot of variations of what I've seen, but generally speaking, it's a Swords Dance variant. He is just going for Shadow Claws. So I am going to switch, go into my Drapion, so I can try and get a knockoff going here. But he makes a switch again, goes into his Slowking, and I'm like, okay, well, this is perfect. I'll just go for a knockoff anyways. And now if he switches into his Mega Abomasnow, it would suck, but he doesn't. He stays in, and he actually ends up going for the T-Wave. So Again, not too bad for me. This thing has less recovery chances. He's going to go for the Slack Off as I just try to go for another knockoff just to get damage off, plus try and get the switch in. Now, here I go for the taunt, but he does make the switch into Mega Abomasnow. I figured he'd either go into Mega Abomasnow, or he'd go into something else, or he'd just stay and try and keep going for Slack Offs. But I did go for the taunt, and it does fail anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. I am going to switch out, going to my Cresselia, finally as Death Fodder, because I'm trying to get Mega Pidgeot in. Or no, actually no, I still wanted to check for Earthquake. I found the Earthquake. Finally. So I know that Registeel is not completely safe, but he does go for Ice Shard. So I know his complete set now. He is the mixed set that I expected. The Psyshock is going to do a lot more damage than he probably expected. And I do get a free switch now because the Hail does kill me off. So I can go into Hitmontop safely. And I believe, do I predict him and go for the Toxic? I think I go for the Toxic, predicting him to want to switch into Slowking. But he goes into Doublade, which is a nice play. Because Doublade's usually wall this whole set, but I do run the Foresight. Foresight's so good. And he goes for Shadow Claw again. Now I'm thinking because he's just going straight for Shadow Claws, he might be Choice Banded. Because Choice Band Doublade used to be a thing, I believe, in the beginning of 6th Gen, if I remember correctly. But I do predict to switch now and go for the Toxic as he ends up going into Slowking. Perfect thing. If he went to Moltres, that would have been really, really good. Actually, he should have gone into Moltres because he saw Foresight, he saw Toxic. He probably assumes it's just a fighting type move and something else. So I think Moltres would have been a better play there. Either way, though, I am going to go for Toxic Spikes. And the reason for this, and I should explain this right now because you're probably looking at him going, the only thing you can poison is Hitmonlee and Mega Abomasnow. Well, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Because a Hitmonlee, if it's Scarfed, it outspeeds my team and it's threatening. So it's kind of like the similar situation with Slurpuff, where I need to just have some status on it that deals damage over time, which happens to be either Burn or Toxic, but I can't really burn it that easily. So I go for the Toxic Spikes, and I'm only going to go for one layer because, again, a Mega Abomasnow and Hitmonlee are the only ones getting hit. There's no walls that I need to wear down. It's just these two. And Sunquan comes in, so there it is. It's poisoned. I go for the knockoff, get a crit. Perfect. Knock off the Choice Scarf. Even better. And everything's hunky-dory. Have you gotten tired of my voice yet going this quickly with a lot of knowledge in your ears? I hope not, because there's more to come. He does end up going for the Rapid Spin. Now, arguably, this is a better play for him. At first, I questioned it, but figuring, you know, he abuses the paralysis and just goes for the Rapid Spin so that he can get his Moltres in safely. And this actually made me think he didn't run Roost. So I do end up going for a layer of Toxic Spikes, mainly because, to be honest, I thought he was just going to switch into Mega Abomasnow. It's kind of a bit of an oversight. If I had gone for the knockoff, it would have been a lot better because this thing would have been a lot lower. But now I can take this opportunity to go into Pidgeot because he's paralyzed, which is usually my Mega Up condition. And I believe I go for the Hurricane. Yeah, I go straight for the Hurricane. And I can tell this thing is especially defensive because it takes it so well. Now I'm going to go for the U-turn, which is just going to get me to switch into my own Slowking, I believe. No, it goes into my Registeel. Oh yeah, because I thought the T-Wave was coming, so I just wanted to absorb some status here. So if he did go for Scalds later, he wouldn't be able to burn me. I'm just paralyzed. Now he is going to switch into his Moltres, as I believe I go for Rocks now. So his Abomasnow is going to be taking 25% on switch and plus get poisoned, so it will only last up to 2 turns. I am going to go for the Protect just to get a little bit more HP back. And now I'm just going to start spamming Seismic Toss because that'd be nice. But he reveals the Roost, and I'm going, well, son of a gun. He did have it. So actually, in this battle, we were talking about, the balance of Mega Pidgeot and stuff like that, and how Registeel kind of checks that. And Regirock became very popular. I think I have a couple battles with Regirocks running around. But, either way, Mega Pidgeot comes in. He is going to switch into his Slowking, which is not going to appreciate this damage. In fact, it's not going to appreciate it to the point where it actually dies. And gets confused at why it's like, why am I dying? I'm a special defensive Pokemon. I don't know why. He's dead. So either way, now this thing comes in. I know he has to go for the Ice Shard, so I can go straight into Hitmontop. And the reason why I go into Hitmontop is because, 1, I can take the hit super well. 2, if the Blade wants to come in next turn, I can just go straight for the Foresight. And I'm actually just going to go for Rapid Spin here, because I know I can outspeed and actually kill it off. So that means that he doesn't get a free hit off. I do just get the Rapid Spin off. He doesn't have to die of poison. I just force the death. And at this point, he realizes he cannot win, because what I could do is go for Foresight. He does end up going for Shadow Claw. And I could just go for Close Combat next turn. And then his Moltres is, I believe, at what HP? It's at 58%, so it would have gone down to 8%. It's paralyzed. I would have been able to actually finish this off with Hitmon top. So those were excellent matches. Quite quiet and a Joni. Comment, rate, subscribe, I hope you enjoyed these battles. So like I said, it'll be 2 battles per part in this mini-series here. If you have any questions about... Well, I mean, it's a little old. It's about 2 months old now that you be asking these questions. But, again, the point of this was to try and get on the ladder to vote do not ban, even though I'm pretty sure it was a giant majority voting out Mega Pidgeot. But there will be a lot of battles that will actually show the balance that came out as a result of the suspect testing. You'll see that Dragalge was a bit strong, but most of the time you will notice that my Mega Pidgeot, or Mega Pidgeots in general, do not actually sweep entire teams. And on top of that, the metagame did not necessarily adapt just for Mega Pidgeot. It actually adapted more for Dragalge, and most Pokemon that adapted for Dragalge turned out to be good against Mega Pidgeot as well. Not so much for Serperior, in my opinion. I think Registeel was like the best quote-unquote check for all 3 of those threats. But you'll notice that Mega Pidgeot, to be perfectly fair, did not sweep entire teams. Most teams were actually built bulky enough, or just built around... Well, not built around Mega Pidgeot, but they were built, and it just so happens that Mega Pidgeot's there and goes, oh, I can only do so much. So, that will be the patterns of this. But thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Have an excellent day, and peace.